Thank you for joining us. Israel's army is continuing its offensive in central and southern Gaza, despite claims it's shifting to a lower intensity phase of the war. Israeli airstrikes have targeted residential neighbourhoods in Rafah and Khan Younis in the south, leaving Palestinians searching for survivors under the rubble. More than 23,000 people have been killed since October the 7th. Now, casualties are also mounting for the Israeli military as Hamas fighters confront troops across the Strip. The Israeli military says 4 more soldiers have been killed in the battlefront, while Hamas says 9 were killed. That brings the number of soldiers killed since the ground invasion began 10 weeks ago to more than 180. Let's get the latest from our correspondent in Gaza, Hani Mahmoud, who joins us live from Rafah in southern Gaza. Hani, so Israeli claims that it's began a new, less intense phase of its war on the ground, but that's not what we're seeing. What's the latest?
Yes, Fall. Everybody was expecting a de-escalation in the airstrikes campaign and the artillery shelling, but on the contrary, what we're seeing is a more of a surge on the relentless airstrike in the central area and the southern part of the Gaza Strip. We're mainly talking about Rafah city, where more than 1.5 million displaced Palestinians are now staying and sheltering and building tents across Rafah city, just running from the horror of the war going on in the northern part and the central part of the Gaza Strip. But we're seeing an increasingly a large scale of intensity and magnitude of the airstrikes, and within just the past 24 hours, large number of people have been killed either in their cars or their residential homes, or they were simply passing by the targeted areas. Overnight, heavy artillery shelling at the eastern side of Rafah city that is been going on for the past 3 weeks, and very consistent with the Israeli plan of creating a buffer zone which requires the raising of much of the area of agriculture and farmland in the eastern part, and the many residential homes at the eastern part of Rafah city. They're very consistent with the narrative of establishing this buffer zone along the borders from Beit Hanun all the way to Rafah city, close to the Gaza-Egyptian border. And over an early hours of this morning, particularly at dawn time, an airstrike targeted residential homes. So far, what we are confirmed about, the reports we're getting, all the injuries from that residential homes. No reports about people got killed in that residential homes, which is really strange and unusual for massive airstrike to only leave injuries inside residential homes. But most of the killing, the mass killing, is taking place right now in the central part, the refugee camps, and Khan Younis city.
Yeah, so intense bombing of central and southern Gaza, Hani. And I understand you were supposed to be reporting from a field hospital in Rafah today, but it's becoming more difficult for people to move around, and even medical staff in some of the hospitals are having to pull out.
Yes, this is exactly what happened. It's becoming increasingly difficult to move around in Rafah city simply because it's becoming increasingly risky and dangerous. And just the fact within less than 24 hours yesterday, 2 cars were hit. One that was our colleague Hamza and his other colleagues journalists were in the car, were targeted, and another car was targeted just on the main road leading to the Kuwaiti hospital, just 700 meters away from here. There is a growing concern that this is part of the third phase of the war, which is the target killing of people as they are moving on the roads or in their residential homes. So there is a risk involved in part of what's going on and what's been done in terms of going into field works. We're trying to minimize that and assess the security in terms of a situation in terms of safety for us to continue working and deliver a quality work and doing our job. But the thing is, it's also overcrowded. Rafah is becoming overcrowded beyond imagination. There are so many people are now sleeping in the streets. It's hard for people to walk. It's hard for people to drive their cars as well, while roads are packed with people.
Yeah, very difficult to work in these conditions, and we appreciate your reporting. Hani, thank you very much. Hani Mahmoud, live for us there in Rafah in southern Gaza.